today I wanted to talk to you about feeling deprived when sort of changing your diet to a healthier way, and how this is not really the way you want to go about changing the way you eat to a healthier, to a healthier plan. I'll give you some tips. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story about eating and feeling really deprived. And then I'll give you some tips on how to go about changing the way you eat to a healthier way so that you don't feel deprived, because it's really the worst feeling. Like, I completely understand. Years ago when I first started eating healthier, the first plan I had, it was a calorie restricted diet. There were lots of fruits and veggies and healthy foods on it, but I really had to restrict the amount of calories I was having, and every day I still felt kind of hungry. As you're losing weight, you're feeling hungry, and the reason I chose this plan, I really wanted to get in shape. I wanted to be a certain, I wanted to lose weight, I wanted to look good, and it was sort of more of a superficial reason, because I was in no way, obese or sort of needed to lose a lot of weight. I just really wanted to look a certain way. So I started eating that way, and this plan worked for me for about a year, and I felt really, I started to feel really restricted because I couldn't eat cookies and cakes. I think I had like a cheat meal or cheat day or something once a week, but it was sort of still in my mind, it was a no-no. Like, I couldn't have this as part of a healthy way of eating, and that causes a feeling of deprivation. And so when you sort of create that feeling in you, whenever you can get your hands on the foods you're not supposed to have, you overindulge. So I would eat boxes of cookies, or I remember once eating like a whole pie or something like that. And for me, after having incidents like that, sort of binging in a way, it was just out of control. I didn't want to have my life going in this up and down motion of eating where I was really, really strict, and then I would eat these crazy foods, and then feel guilty about it and sort of start the cycle. So after about a year of eating that way, I decided I don't want to feel deprived, or maybe it was more than that. I don't want to feel deprived, and I sort of just stopped. I just started eating whatever I wanted to. And at that time I had moved to Korea. I was a vegetarian before, then I started eating meat. Not to say there's anything, everyone has a choice of what kind of way they want to eat and feels the best for them. I just thought I was just restricting myself in all regards, so I just opened up everything. I was going to eat everything and anything I wanted to. And so when I got to Korea, I was eating fried foods. I was eating just anything I wanted to that tasted good, that I didn't really care. And I started feeling really crappy. My skin got really oily. I gained weight. I didn't feel good about myself. And even though the way I was eating before, I was deprived, I still felt better in a sense, because I had more healthier foods, and I was making more foods at home. I just didn't have the right balance yet. And so as I sort of threw everything out the window and was eating whatever I wanted, I realized I didn't feel good this way either. So I needed to find a balance, and that's when I made a decision to start getting healthy as a lifestyle, and to sort of change one thing at a time, so I didn't feel overwhelmed, and I didn't feel deprived, and I didn't feel like, I was just going to, lose my mind, or just I couldn't control myself. So I started making little changes, and of course this takes years to sort of create a healthy way of eating. After I started making little changes, I could make bigger changes, and I started really understanding how nutrition and really healthy food affects your body, creates a healthier body. You're turning on like good genes. I mean, there's the book Super Genes, and it talks about we have a lot of control of the genes we turn on by the way we eat and our lifestyle. And that was really happening, and even the way I was eating changed. I have a video on it. My skin, I used to have to put things on my skin to prevent acne, and I cleaned up the way I was eating, and that changed my health internally. So I was starting to be healthy from the inside out, and I made a decision along the way to just eat to be the healthiest that I could be for me, and that didn't matter what size I was or what weight I was. And when I made that decision and sort of like freed myself of having to fit into a certain box, my body started to balance itself. For me, I started to lose weight, and I started to get to a point which was the healthiest for me in terms of my frame and all of that. So I learned a lot of things along the way, and I want to share just a few of them with you. So if you feel like you need to eat differently or you want to be healthier, but you have this block of, you know, feeling deprived, this a good place to start. I'm going to give you about 5 tips. So the first place I would say is to create sort of a sentence or a goal that you have in mind, that you want to change the way you eat to be healthier. You want to change the way you eat to get to your healthiest self, or for the health of your body, so that you're no longer suffering, or you no longer have a certain pain, or that you feel better, and just to create something that's more of an intrinsic, internal reason rather than wanting to look a certain way. And I think that's where it really starts, when it's like an authentic, true, internal reason, and it's not based on someone else's perception of you. The second thing I'm going to say is that you want to change the way you eat. Start with something small, one change at a time. And when you, for instance, drinking enough water, and once you've attained that and it's sort of part of your everyday routine, you can add something else in. And that's how I really started. I just did one change at a time, and it was very slow, because I noticed for me, when I did like a 180, I just completely overhauled my diet or whatever, I felt so deprived and I felt so out of control, and I just didn't know, I just couldn't sustain it for very long, maybe a month or two, and then it was over, and that's not what I wanted. The third thing I'm going to say is to kind of think of an 80-20 or a 90-10 rule. This is sort of going with the one change at a time, or if you're able to make bigger changes, you can say to yourself, 80% of the time I'm going to eat healthy, and then I have this like leeway, or 10% of the time, so that you're not feeling deprived. You can still have those foods that you crave in your life, just not as often. And you know, this is really important if you go out to restaurants, or you have friends that you still want to socialize and you haven't really navigated how to eat healthy with them around, or you're sort of not ready to just sort of completely change the way you eat. I'm going to also say, let me just see here, keep incorporating healthy treats into the way you eat. For me, a big deprivation I had was not having like sweets or cake or something like that, and so when I got stressed, I would want cookies, or if it was in front of me, I would eat it all. I would just binge on it. And so today, when I'm stressed, I'll probably have a kale salad instead of like a box of cookies, but that took many years to change. So don't be hard on yourself, you know, make little changes, and there's tons of recipes, even on my blog, for healthy desserts. And you shouldn't be afraid of fat either, healthy fat. So you can start incorporating these whole foods that really, you know, nourish your body, but give you those same tastes, but in a healthier way, and that's a good start. And so the last tip I have is to be kind to yourself. Let's say you do have a meal that you don't feel great after or about. Take it as a learning experience that, you know, and I've had those learning experiences too, where it's like I really want to eat something, and so I have it, and I realize after, or I sort of had it in Korea where I had lots of time of it, where I realized eating a certain way because I wanted to have it and it felt good at the time, I didn't really feel that great later on. And sort of thinking, maybe you have a meal and you don't feel that great after, it's a learning lesson. So in the future, maybe you can say to yourself, you know, I'm not going to have that because I know I'm not going to feel that great after, or I'm not going to have that, I have a healthier alternative. But if you do have it, be kind to yourself. Everything is like an experiment, and you can really take from it what you want and take good information from it. You don't have to guilt yourself, because that will possibly just make you want to eat more of that same food, and create this whole cycle that you dig deeper and deeper into, and then maybe you're in the cycle months later, who knows. So those are my 5 tips. I really just want to express that no one should ever feel deprived when they eat. You should always eat for your best health, or your best self, to feel your best, because food is joyful and food is nourishing. And even if you are eating something healthy and you feel you're depriving yourself, you're sort of negating some of the effects, because you're creating stress in your body, which negates the nutritious effects. So you sort of want to have a place where you're balanced, where it's healthy and you feel good about it, and you know you're nourishing yourself and it tastes good and all of that great stuff. So hopefully these tips have helped. helped you. If you like this video, like it, share it, leave a comment. I look forward to sharing more tips with you. And please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be glad to answer them. So have a great day, and I look forward to sharing more later on.